So you've been trying to land a job in the NHS. Are you tired of getting unfortunately in your emails? Are you tired of putting in the applications and not getting any positive response? Don't give up. You're not alone. A few months ago, I was in this exact same position until I landed my first job in the NHS. So in this video, I am going to share all the tips and things I've learned during my application process and things that I learned from other people as well and how they got a job in the NHS. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Nhs Job Application. I'm a Nigerian trained medical doctor who is currently working in the NHS. So I'm sorry if this video is a bit biased because I'm going to use my own experience throughout this video. So it might be partial to doctors, but I think it's going to help any healthcare professional looking to work in the NHS. All right, so let's dive right into it. Now, first tip, make sure you're typing in the right job titles or position. So if you don't have the right job titles or the right search in the search bar, you end up applying for jobs that you are either underqualified or overqualified for. So please make sure you're typing in the right job titles in the search bar and searching for the right jobs. Do you understand? So for example, as a doctor that has passed PLAB 2, you can apply for job titles like FY2, Senior House Officer, SHO, Junior Clinical Fellow, CT1, ST1 positions, even locally employed doctors in a trust. So look out for those job titles. Don't just screw yourself to one, okay? You can, if I FY2 jobs, you can apply above that, but these are the kind of job titles you should be searching for while looking for jobs. So no matter the area you're working in, please make sure you're putting in the right job titles in the search bar, because that's kind of like the first point to getting your job. That's one. The second tip is please take your time with each application. Don't just rush over the application, because things like spelling, grammar, punctuation can affect your job application. Take your time and check those things. Another thing to check is make sure that your dates of your education or job experience or qualifications, they tally with what you have on the actual certificates or on your CV, so that you don't have any mismatch when they ask you to, bring your CV or give us a certificate. So please check those things. When you're doing your application, read the instructions carefully and make sure that you're putting the right details in each column or each row or each box, okay, so that you don't make any mistakes. All right, that is very important. So please take your time. You can't just do an NHS job application in 5 minutes or 20 minutes. Trust me, I usually spend 4, 5, 6 hours, sometimes the whole day, trying to walk around one application. So please take your time and do the work. It's going to pay off. Okay, so that's tip number 2. Now the next tip is to sell yourself. See, the way I used to always hammer on sell yourself, we are not really used to hyping ourselves, especially as Nigerians or IMGs in general. So we're not really used to doing that, but please do that. This is particularly useful in your personal statement. You should be able to use that personal statement to sell yourself as a candidate, demonstrate why you are a perfect fit for the job, and incorporate things from the job and person specification in your application and try to tell them why they should employ you. Basically, it's also good to incorporate the trust values and goals and mission into your application and tell them how that aligns with your own personal values and goals. So it's kind of like also talking about yourself. So in other words, selling yourself. Now, your personal statements can either make or break your application. I've heard so many times that your personal statement, most of the recruiters usually just go straight down to your personal statement, and that is what they are looking at, and that can either mean fortunately or unfortunately. All right, so please take your time and use the personal statement to sell yourself. You have 1,500 words in your personal statement. Please utilize it, and try not to tell lies in your personal statement. It doesn't really help anyone. Okay, so while you're trying to embellish yourself and make yourself look good and show your strengths and all that, try to also incorporate some, humility in it and don't tell lies. Okay, all right, now that brings us nicely to the next tip, which is tailor each application to the job. So each of the jobs in the NHS website have person specification and job specification, or duties, things they expect you to carry out in the job. So like I mentioned earlier, you should want to incorporate those specifications into your application. Now, it's not just for your personal statement. You can do this all through your application. Okay, for example, you're talking about previous job experiences. You need to bring up those skills or duties that match the job you're applying for. For example, as a doctor, if you're applying for an emergency department position and you've worked somewhere else, maybe in pediatrics, and you did some pediatric emergencies, those duties and skills should come up in your application. So you can just put a title: medical officer. I helped to manage pediatric emergencies. I was working to assess, so bring up those emergency relevant things in your application. All right, so those are the things that should take precedence, and that's just for talking about your previous job experience. And then in your personal statement, you can now incorporate other aspects of the job and person specification that you've not already mentioned, but please tailor it to what the trust is looking for. And now that means you cannot copy and paste. You cannot use the same application for every job application. You cannot just say, okay, I'm just going to keep this file somewhere, and anytime I have this application, I'm just going to put it. No, you can modify it, or use it as a template, but you can't use the exact same application all through. Okay, it leads to mistakes. You can end up putting different trust name in the application, which is just going to just cancel it out for you. Okay, so please take your time and tailor each application to the job, to the trust, and to what they are looking for. All right, you can do this all through your application. The next tip is to use the meantime to build up your CV. So while you are waiting, you are applying for jobs, you can build up your CV by doing courses, volunteer work, anything that might be relevant to the kind of job you are anticipating or the kind of job you are looking for. As doctors that have finished Plug 2, they usually tell you to do courses like ALS, BLS, PALS, the likes, so that it can boost your CV. Not really 100% sure if that makes any difference, but it's good to have them just to increase your chances. Okay, then another thing they recommend for doctors is to do a clinical attachment. So most of the NHS job will tell you need NHS experience, and one of the ways to get that without actually getting the job is to do a clinical attachment. So they usually advise that we try and get a clinical attachment. That's one of the ways you can build your CV. You can also do volunteer work or any other thing, even hobbies that can you can incorporate in your CV that will embellish it and make it look more attractive to the recruiters. Okay, that's another thing you can do. Now my next tip is kind of very personal. It's asking for help. So personally, I had so much challenges when I started applying, and I had to ask for help. So what I did was I reached out to my colleagues and friends that were already working in the NHS and asked for tips and tricks and whatever it is they did that made them get their jobs. I asked for them to send their own, application so I can go through it and use it as a template. Honestly, my first few applications were just horrible. I was using just 200 words in my personal statement, which was not helping anybody. So it was not until I saw other people's application and I had friends who helped me out and told me, oh, do this, do that, you need to improve this, improve that. That was when my applications just kept getting better and better. So please ask for help. There's no way you can do this on your own. What was that thing they said about closed mouth and closed destiny? Just ask for help. It is really, really important. If you've watched my previous video, I do not underestimate asking for help, because I don't think anybody can do this whole journey on their own. Okay, now another way that asking for help can help you out in getting your first job is you'll be able to get, tips and pointers as far, oh, this NHS likes, they are more open to taking people without NHS experience, or more open to taking international medical graduates and stuff like that. But please ask for help. There are some things that we will not share unless you ask. All right, so that's a very important tip. Now my last and final tip is, don't give up. I know it may look daunting. You've been applying. You can even say, oh, I've been incorporating all the things they told me to incorporate and it's not working out. What do I do? So you can pray about it. Pray to God that you don't, lose faith and you don't lose strength. But don't give up, okay? Just keep going. There are so many vacancies in the NHS. There are jobs everywhere. One of them is definitely yours. Your next job is just around the corner. Your big NHS breakthrough is just around the corner. So please don't give up, okay? I know people that have turned in 300, 400 applications before they finally got a job, all right? I didn't get to apply for that much, but I did go through a number of applications before I finally got my NHS job. So please don't give up. I hope these tips help you today to land your next NHS job. If you found value in this video, kindly give it a thumbs up and share it to others that you think will benefit as well. Don't forget to leave any comments or questions you may have in the comment section, and I will do my best to reply as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching to this point. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.